There we go. Okay.
Hello, my name is Granger Refutation, and I was charged with doing a refutation speech on Gina's speech, which was on behavior drugs and children with ADHD. Her main claim was that behavior drugs such as Ritalin are far too dangerous to be used in the treatment of ADHD in children. My refutation to that is that behavior drugs such as Ritalin are beneficial in the treatment of ADHD in children. Gina's secondary claims were Ritalin constitutes health risks in children, Ritalin promotes drug abuse in the community, and there are safer alternatives to Ritalin. My secondary claims are Ritalin provides a benefit to one's health and being. Ritalin alone doesn't promote drug abuse in the community, and safer alternatives may not be as effective as Ritalin, which can be monitored and distributed more effectively to increase its safety. I took a stance of taking counter arguments to Gina's counter arguments in my refutation, just to clarify that. My first claim is that Ritalin provides a benefit to one's health and being. Intense symptoms of ADHD and ADD, such as hyperactivity, loss of focus, and impulsivity, can be successfully lessened or treated with use of behavior drugs. Livestrong.com says that increasing the levels of dopamine neurotransmission in the brain can increase the capacity to maintain attention and focus. In ADHD patients, Ritalin effectively reduces symptoms and allows for normal cognitive function. Ritalin's function is a beneficial one. It can give those who are struggling in school and can't focus a helping hand. And as long as the medication is implicitly controlled and processed by a parent or adult of that child, there should be no accidental or overdose or abuse of the drug on the child's part. The use of Ritalin is controlled amounts, and safe ingesting is safe to be used in children. As long as it's maintained by the parent and is facilitated. My second claim is that Ritalin itself doesn't necessarily yield drug abuse in one's community, but other factors such as who is taking the medication, their mental stability, and age also comes into play. The University of Michigan did a study and found that 4% of high school seniors in the United States abused the drug at least once in the past year. This is a small fraction of the population of those who use Ritalin in that age group, which is approximately 19% in boys and 10% in girls, which I also got from the University of Michigan's study. And so one's mental stability or the influence of their peers and peer pressure may affect the need or feel the need to take this medication to succeed more in school. Rather than claiming that substance abuse is preceded by Ritalin use, it may be more acceptable to explain and point out influences such as peer pressure, stress, and the emotional swings that has accompanied puberty and the growing up that are found in the lives of these teenagers. To say Ritalin promotes drug abuse in the community is not enough. Perhaps it's Ritalin and the community itself that promotes drug abuse in the community. My third claim is that rather than leave the use of medication behind and drop it entirely, a treatment that is proven to be successful under proper handling and care, the drug should be monitored and distributed in safer amounts. Ritalin is a controlled substance, meaning it is not easily obtainable over the counter at a pharmacy. You need a recommendation from a doctor, and for Ritalin, you need an evaluation for ADHD as well, so it is hard to obtain from a doctor. The DEA themselves say to keep Ritalin in a safe place to prevent the misuse and abuse. Ritalin has the potential to be safe, but the drug falls under the DEA's category, ranking as category 2, which is out of 4, and those are included in other prescription drugs, and they don't exactly search for category 2 drugs. It's 3 and 4 that they are monitoring more in the DEA's attempt. And unfortunately, some cases of children are going through individualized education plans, a topic Gina spoke on during her speech, have hard outcomes. Many kids in these programs are mocked and treated as inferior to their peers because they're in a different path or something. And Ritalin is the solution to this problem. The entire treatment is private and effective. The kid ingests the medication at the beginning of the day, and he seems normal and conclusive in class and participates well. In conclusion, Ritalin is not too dangerous to be used in treatment among children. It has proven to be advantageous in regular use in children and promotes work and schooling. Some perceived drawbacks to the use of Ritalin can be helped with increasing the restrictions on such drugs and processing. The drug itself is safe and helpful in the proper amounts and should only be used in such proper ways. Thank you.
All right, Granger, you're over-organizing at the beginning. Just preview what their points were, and then you can give your counterclaims when you get to them. As it is, it's like I've got double the preview, and that's a little bit confusing. And I think you could explain your arguments as you get to each point. On your first point, you're basically taking a direct counterposition to the advocate's argument and suggesting that Ritalin does provide a substantial benefit. You've got some information on this that suggests that it is appropriate, that it works. It would be interesting to see if there was any statistical information that compared kids who are being treated with Ritalin in terms of their school performance, for example. And I think, I don't remember what the advocate's evidence on this particular point was, but if you had the testimony of either physicians or patients who talked about how their lives had changed, that showed that there's a benefit there, that would have a more impressive comparison or contrast to whatever the argument was that the advocate presented. You don't really discuss what their evidence was on this point. You're just presenting a counterpoint on that, so it's a little bit harder to assess. I think you needed to do that a little bit more. On the second point, I thought that you did try to diminish the significance of the abuse by pointing out that use of Ritalin is relatively, it's almost 20% of the population of boys and 10% of the population of girls in school, but the abuse is only 4% of all of the high school students. That seems to suggest that it's relatively rare, and there's not really, I think there's an argument to be made that suggests that it's probably not the users of Ritalin for ADHD, but it's somebody else who's abusing their access to the Ritalin. Maybe they get the Ritalin from a sibling, or it's in the house, or they get it from their friends who have that, and that creates a problem. But it's not so much that those people themselves are abusing it. I don't know. That, I think, might have been an argument that could have been developed a little bit more. You got a little sidetracked on that third point with the categorization of the different levels of risk factor. I don't know that got you anything. I thought the better argument that you're making here is that these alternatives don't necessarily have all the advantages. An IEP, for instance, identifies a kid, puts them on a particular track, makes it problematic. That's all asserted, by the way. I think you need to have some evidence on this sort of thing. My guess would be is that most parents probably don't go to Ritalin first. They go to Ritalin last after they've tried a lot of these kinds of things. And I think you could probably provide some evidence to support that. So you've got good counterclaims, got good information on the counterclaims. I think you need a little bit stronger response to the evidence that the advocate used on their points. All right, thank you.